I'm Tom Baker, this is Chasing Cars, and today I'm driving the all-new Toyota Camry. Well, before you take a snooze, I need you to stay awake because this Camry is actually interesting, and that's for two reasons. Number one is that this is the first imported Camry that we've received here in Australia for 30 years. They used to build this car down in Victoria, but this all-new model is now sourced from Japan as local manufacturing shut up shop about 7 weeks ago. And the second reason the new Camry is interesting is that this is supposed to be the first one to dynamically really excite us. Certainly on the surface, the Camry has taken a big step up with edgier styling and more attractive looks that replace the conservative design of the outgoing car. Let me know in the comments what you think of how the new Toyota Camry looks. And under the skin, there's plenty of potential in the new Camry too, because it now runs Toyota's TNGA platform, which also underpins the excellent CHR SUV. Plus, onto the bonnet, there's the option of a 224 kilowatt V6 alongside traditional hybrid and 4-cylinder petrol options. But as usual, we'll have to experience the new Camry to work out whether it takes a really big step up. So let's start inside. Let's go and hop in. Jump down into the new Camry, and you really do jump down because the new TNGA platform has allowed Toyota to put the hip point and thus the driving position 25mm lower, and you find yourself sitting more ensconced in this new Toyota Camry as opposed to sitting on top of it, which is what the old model felt like. And this new steering wheel, which is nice and soft in everything but the base model, falls right to hand. The new seats are also comfortable and supportive, if a little bit flat. And what's interesting is that in the top model, they're ventilated only for Australia. So there's no heated seats, they're only cooled. And that is relevant for our market, but I would have liked the option of both. This new interior is basically designed to be both functional and futuristic. You might have something to say about that, but I think what's certain is that it's an improvement, especially the materials. There's lots more soft materials used here on the dash and on the doors. Although oddly, only the passenger gets a soft surface where their leg rests. Here in the driver's seat, you miss out. A little bit odd. The dashboard is built around this crisp touchscreen, which finally upgrades to new graphics so it looks better. There's also a big display between the gauges, and the top model also gets a 10-inch heads-up display as well. However, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto remain firmly off the agenda, which is a real shame. Finally, it's nice and practical in here. There's a large central bin between the seats, one USB port and a wireless charging pad up front, and big-ish but unlined door bins. You expect a car like the Toyota Camry to have a really generous backseat, and the good news is that this 8th generation car lives up to that expectation. For me as a 6-footer, I have enough headroom despite this panoramic sunroof, plenty of legroom, and enough tow room as well. There's also a few amenities back here, so you do get an armrest that comes down between the seats with cup holders. Plus this car, this is the SX, the second from the top, this car gets 2 USB ports back here, but what's unfortunate is that the lower end models, i.e. cars that Uber drivers would really like to buy, miss out on those rear USB ports, and I think that that's a bit of an own goal. You also need a Toyota Camry to have a big boot, and it does. So the base model, the Ascent, has 493 litres. That's because it gets a full-size spare wheel. The other models, which have a space saver, they get 524 litres of space. But the best news is that if you get a hybrid powertrain, you no longer lose boot space because the batteries have been pushed back underneath the rear seat, so you get this huge space no matter which engine you go for. For the last decade or so, if you wanted a 4-cylinder Toyota sedan in Australia, you bought a Camry. And if you wanted a 6-cylinder, then you'd buy an Orion. They were both built right here in Australia. However, now that we've moved back to an arrangement where the car is being imported, the Orion name has been dropped, the larger body has been dropped, and now the Camry has returned to offering both cylinder counts. So under the bonnet of this new Camry, there's a choice of 3 engines. The 2.5 litre 4-cylinder has actually carried over from the old Camry with very few modifications. There's a new 2.5 litre 4-cylinder paired to a new hybrid, and that's what Toyota are most keen to highlight as a sort of hero engine for the new car. That produces 160 kilowatts of combined power. The petrol engine makes about 220 newton meters of torque, whereas the electric motor adds an instant boost of another 202 newton meters. But the big news is that you can now get a V6 under the bonnet of the Camry, and it's essentially a revised version of the direct injection 6-cylinder that you get in the Kluger. And here it makes 224 kilowatts of power, so that's plenty of get up and go and poke For the Camry, of course, it's still front-wheel drive only, so getting all that power down can be a little bit of a scramble through only two wheels driving the car. But that said, for people that do long-distance touring and want to stick with something reliable and dependable like a Toyota Camry, the V6 will be a really good way to go. Other attributes of the dynamics are that you can really feel the benefit of the new TNGA platform. Much like the CHR, which also rides on this new platform, the ride is really supple and comfortable, and it's actually a really nicely attuned ride for Australian conditions. We haven't yet hit a road in the new Camry where it's felt brittle or it feels like it's coming apart at the seams. Instead, it's a nicely sorted package. And the handling also feels to be improved. The steering weight, I think, now feels more natural. They've added heaviness even in this base model car, so you don't even have to buy the sporty SX model to get sort of nice steering feel. The communication isn't really there. You wouldn't particularly expect that from a Toyota Camry, but what is nice is that because of the lower center of gravity, this car now handles better, sits better on the road, and will be a better partner if you find a good road. But that said, if you're looking for a sporty midsizer, something like a Mazda 6 or even a Volkswagen Passat will still get the job done better than the Camry. Another big ticket item is that adaptive safety technology has now sort of proliferated through the range. So the base model car now comes with autonomous emergency braking, adaptive cruise control, and lane keep assist. If you step right up to the top end Camry, you also get features like blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert. So those are my first impressions of the new Toyota Camry. I'm looking forward to taking each engine out for extended testing back in Sydney, but from a few hours behind the wheel, it's clear the 8th generation Camry is a step change from the previous car. The new TNGA platform has done wonders for the Camry. Not only does it allow a much more attractive design, but it massively boosts the Camry's dynamic character. It rides very well, the car feels stiff and solid, and amazingly, the Camry can even engage you on a good road. Plus, with the Hybrid or the V6, it goes pretty well too. Couple all that to an interior that's impressively plush and well made, and you have what is definitely the best Camry yet. It does all the things a Camry should, but it adds an additional level of polish we haven't seen before on this badge. It's an impressive effort.